Real quick, thanks for joining us on this episode. We know that as a healthcare professional, your time is precious, but so is sharing your vital health information with your community, and that's never been more important than today. That's where CapCut comes in. CapCut is the intuitive, all-in-one video editing app designed for speed. Forget the complicated software. With CapCut, you can trim patient education videos, add professional captions for accessibility, and incorporate clear voiceovers in minutes. Streamline your workflow by using our preferred editing software, the one that I use personally, and you can find that link in the podcast show notes.
Be true to who you are. That's number one. That's really important. Don't change. Things will be okay. Number two is when you're looking around and trying to be the creator that you want to be, take the time to pause and reflect and listen to the community and make sure that what they're telling you is resonating in a way that can help you be the better creator that you want to be. And the third is it's important to continue to network with people because at the end of the day, you're only as good as the people that, you connect with. So I found that I learned so much from everyone else. So take the time to learn.
Welcome back to the Med Creator 101 podcast, the go-to podcast for HCPs on all things social. I'm Mimi Banks, founder of MB Social, and I'm here as always with my co-host, Dr. Dustin Portela.
Good to be back with you, Mimi.
Good to see you. I feel like it's been a second.
Yeah.
So today is a different kind of an episode. We are not talking to an HCP or a brand that even works with HCPs. They work with everyone. They know how to create smart, scroll-stopping content, engage with their community, and redefine what it means to have viral campaigns. This cult favorite brand actually listens to their community and sets the tone for what good looks like. We are so excited to have Patrick O'Keefe, Chief Integrated Marketing Officer at e.l.f. Beauty, with us today. Patrick is a true digital and experiential disruptor and a beauty veteran. We met at L'Oreal. He joined the e.l.f. Beauty team in September 2019, where he created the Integrated Marketing Communications team. At e.l.f., he's responsible for driving seamless integration across paid media, social influencer, and PR, ensuring brand consistency across all e.l.f. portfolio brands, supporting the go-to market strategy, and leading efforts to explore new marketing frontiers. What an intro. Thank you for joining us, Patrick.
Well, I'm very excited to be here. It's good to see you, Mimi. And I remember our days at 575 Fifth Avenue, which was pretty epic when we were in our L'Oreal days. But it's great to be here. So thank you for having me.
Now we come full circle. Both of us are in LA.
Yeah, love it. I'm home.
And Patrick, it's nice to meet you as my first introduction to you. And one of the things we like to do on MedCreator is get to know our guests a little bit personally. And we'd love to hit you with some rapid fire questions if you're open to it.
Of course. Nice to meet you, Dustin.
First question is, what emoji do you use the most?
I have a pretty epic team. My team's about 60 people. So I am grateful every day for them. So the grateful emoji comes up a lot.
Very good. Personally, Instagram or TikTok?
How about Pinterest?
Oh.
We will allow it. Yeah, absolutely.
We don't discriminate here at e.l.f. So we are cross-platforms. And personally, I love all the platforms where our communities are.
But you're most commonly scrolling on Pinterest?
I love searching on Pinterest. And if you go to my board, you're going to see a lot about men's haircuts, which is really random, right?
Very good.
You might see Brad Pitt.
I would actually say no to the haircut as being random, considering your past at L'Oreal.
Yeah, fair. Good point. Love that, Mimi.
So as somebody who's so in-depth in the social world, what was the first social platform you were on? We're talking like MySpace, Friendster days.
So Tom was my first friend, and we all know Tom.
Yes, we do.
So I think I just gave it away, MySpace. The guy is 55 years old right now, and he sold his business for $580 million, which is insane. He was a true hero and revolutionized beauty for sure.
And my understanding is he's like a photographer now. He just is enjoying life and taking landscape photography and things. So good for him.
I'm so curious to know what he looks like because I think we all know him by that picture in the chair.
You can Google, you'll see.
So I don't know what would qualify as an answer to this, but it's here. So I want to ask it. What is the most LA thing that you do?
Valet parking.
That is very LA.
It's very LA.
Are you an Erewhon person?
I'm actually not. I shouldn't say that out loud, but I just did.
I'm not either. It's okay.
I'm a big fan of Sunset Tower and Chateau Marmont. Very LA.
That's very LA, for sure. So let's go back to the beginning and how you started your career. If memory serves me correct, you started at Shiseido then Matrix at L'Oreal.
Actually, I started, if I take us back a little bit further and what got me into beauty specifically, I worked for a company called Smith Buckland Associates out of Chicago. It's the largest association management firm in the world, and we produced the largest beauty show in the country. It attracted 60,000 professionals, and that's how I got connected to the manufacturers and distributors of beauty, which led me to Matrix. I got recruited to Matrix for 4 years and moved to New York, and then LA with Shiseido, and then moved back to New York for L'Oreal for 10 years. I'm a boomerang.
And now you're creating Super Bowl campaigns.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. We went from 575 Fifth Avenue, which is where L'Oreal used to be. And then we moved to Hudson Yards and, got a call and met with Corey Marchesotto, who's the chief marketing officer at e.l.f. Beauty. I was so grateful to be part of a conversation where they truly wanted to do marketing. And it wasn't a buy one, get one free conversation. It was like, how do we blow up the beauty space and make sure that e.l.f. is becoming kind of a leader in this space? And when I started, we were 250 million in net sales, and now we're up to 1.5 billion. So in 5.5 years, it's been quite a journey and a ride. And I attribute a lot of the success to a marketing genius like from Corey.
And even that, you had Jennifer Coolidge, very reactive campaign. We'll have to talk about, obviously, the acquisition of Hailey Bieber's Rhode.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the journey has been real. I remember walking out of Hudson Yards and having conversations with several people that we both know around TikTok. And there was definitely intrigue in the building. I get on a plane, fly to Oakland for my first meeting with Corey. And the number one thing that we wanted to do was to make sure that we were front and center on this platform called TikTok. And that's how it kind of all started.
And with that, e.l.f. has, really built a reputation as a social first brand, and you've been a big part of that. What does that look like behind the scenes, from the strategy to the execution, the meetings that your team is having, and bringing these things to life?
Honestly, again, another moment with Corey when we were doing the interview, and she said to me, when you stand for the E in every eye, lip, and face, you have a big responsibility. And that responsibility takes us across multiple platforms. We're digitally native. Our founders founded us. They wanted to sell beauty products over the internet for $1. That takes us back about 21 years when the founders decided to make that giant leap. Fast forward 21 years later, we're still a digitally native brand, and we lean in and we focus on areas that really help to drive and better the community and make sure that we're democratizing access for everyone.
I mean, that's incredible. Something that e.l.f. does is a lot and walks the talk when you talk about community. And I think what you're able to do very well is balance being culturally relevant in real time, like even the Jennifer Coolidge, for example, while staying true to the brand's core identity. And I think that's something that we can all learn from here, specifically med creators that want to build a brand, that have a brand, or that struggle with being able to be that balance and aren't just doing trends for the sake of trends. How do you do it?
It all starts with an insight, and I can give you a couple examples. You referenced one, it's Jennifer Coolidge, and that commercial was done in 3 weeks. It was truly a life-changing moment for all of us. And the insight was she won, an Emmy for White Lotus, and then she got on a Access Hollywood interview and told the reporter that she wanted to be a dolphin. And so dolphin skin was trending on TikTok. We had the right product that could create dolphin skin, which was our Power Grip Primer. We were really short, like maybe $1 million shy of becoming the number one SKU in all of beauty. It's typically a mascara, and a primer was going to be the one that was going to kind of put us over the edge, and this commercial was going to do it, and it actually did. So we pulled together with a team from Shadow, and we created an epic experience with Jennifer, and we created her live stream to become a dolphin.
What I think is interesting here also, and Dustin's usually great with this with the key takeaways, is to listen to the community, pay attention to what's going on, and when it makes sense and when it can tie back to your brand, to jump on the opportunity.
Listen, there's so many different moments of where we lean in. We have 17.4 million followers across our 10 channels, and they're not afraid to tell us what they want. We listen, we learn, and we lean in. Those are kind of the 3 areas, the 3 L's that really help to take us to the next level. We know when we listen, we can't do everything all the time. In fact, there are many times that we've gotten our CEO and Corey and our CFO on TikTok Lives to talk about what does this process look like? So we create this thing called zero distance. There's zero distance between our C-suite, our exec team, and our community. And they get to ask questions and tell us what they're looking for and what they need. And again, there's so many different examples. One, Jelly Pop Primer. I mean, it's been legendary when we launched Jelly Pop in 2019. And then we paused it because it was an in and out. And our community, they were pretty outraged. And they let us know it. So that's when we got Tarang and Corey on a stream and TikTok Live and gave them the real and said, this is how long it takes. This is what's involved. Be patient, but we're going to make it happen for you because we respect and listen to what you have to say.
I love that, Dustin. Listen, learn, lean in.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty incredible lesson to take away. And one thing that impressed me is how quickly you guys respond to some of these culturally relevant moments, which is not something a large brand that's over $1 billion a year is able to do. What do you credit that nimble characteristic to? Is it the zero distance where your top leadership is connected directly to the consumer? Or is it something that was just built into the culture from the beginning that you can move so quickly when so many other large brands just can't make that happen?
It's a really great question. And there are so many things that I learned, and I'm sure Mimi can attest to this being part of a big company like L'Oreal. And there's a lot of opportunity for companies to be able to be nimble. When I started, we had 150 employees. We now have 600 over 5.5 years. So that's globally, including operations. And when you have a team like my team who is beyond epic, and you allow them to be free and have the freedom to do cool shit, they kind of deliver. And I'll just give you one example of, something that I'm super proud of. I know we're going to probably talk about that later, but I'll bring it up now. And that is, literally every person on my team listens and then they learn and then we lean in the moment. And the one that stands out for me is what we did with Oliver and Phoenix. And I don't know if you guys know the story, but quick headline here is that I was literally sitting on a couch on Saturday night and I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw this guy who quit his job out of Oregon and wanted to sail across the country with his cat. And I'm like, holy shit, there's something here. So I literally we work with a company called eGen. They're our gaming agency and I head up immersive on my team and they're in Australia. And I said, Brad, I need a deck. We brainstormed for an hour. We said, what can we do? We talked about airlifting product to him, helicopter, like whatever it was going to take to get him what he needed because he was running out of cat food and Pringles and snacks and things like that. And we figured it out. We got him over to Hawaii and then we did a Twitch live stream. But that was a pretty cool moment when we did that in less than 5 days. And the other cool thing about the story is that we hired a pilot and an airplane crew. But what they do is they train young girls and young boys on how to be pilots. And they got to be a part of the experience to do the drop.
Now, I know that in that drop, he had some personal notes. Was that from the young kids in this pilot program?
There were notes from them, and there were obviously a note from e.l.f., but it wasn't about a product drop. It was a subplot. We were the subplot. The main plot was getting him cat food and Pringles.
I was going to ask, what was in the drop?
There were snacks in there, but, he called out Pringles specifically, so we wanted to answer his story. But he's going on another journey right now, and we also made a donation to his favorite charity for supporting animals in Hawaii.
I remember seeing that when he posted the drop, and I sent it to Mimi on Instagram same day. I'm like, you have to see what e.l.f. Beauty did. This is genius. It wasn't about e.l.f. Beauty, but it was the perfect representation of what I think the brand stands for. And just props to you and your team for creating something like that, because I think it won a lot of hearts and it wasn't about the product. It was a way to amplify the story of a young man who's pursuing his dreams. And I think that just speaks to what the brand really is about.
We gave him some sunscreen, which is appropriate.
Yeah. No, I saw that. I did see that. Yeah. And I was grateful as a dermatologist. Was that something he knew was coming? Had you been able to coordinate with him?
So we got in touch with his social person. So his social person kind of leads his business and his day-to-day. And we had some communication with him, but it was touch and go. It was, because you had to deal with the winds, you had to deal with the weather and all that, like all those things play into the whole journey. But yeah, we definitely worked through his team.
Well, Oliver's captured a lot of hearts, and I know people are waiting to see what he's going to do next. And he's just announced that he's, going bigger and, taking risks. And I know that everybody's rooting for him. And so I think it was really cool that e.l.f. got to play a part in that story. And and give him that kind of support. So
100%.
with everything that you guys are doing, how do you prioritize your platforms when there's new things coming out all the time? We have things like Lemonade or Threads that have popped up over the last couple of years. Do you try to be present everywhere, or are you selective about what new platforms you jump in?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, this is going to sound like a cliche answer, but it's the real answer. And that is we want to be where the communities are. So we show up in all the platforms. And, obviously you all know this, but every platform has its own unique point of view. And we want to make sure when we show up, we're showing up that's relevant within that community. So honestly, that's the simple answer and that's a real answer. And that's just, we're always looking for the next thing that we can kind of tap into to connect with a community of people that really love beauty.
When it comes to TikTok, I think you were the first beauty brand on TikTok Shop.
We were. Yep.
How has TikTok served the brand? I know you guys have done original songs, filters. Any surprising takeaways from TikTok and building your community there?
TikTok, God, this platform it's just been a big part of our heart and soul here at e.l.f. We love what, in 2019 and 2020 went into the pandemic and everything, but it was just more of a time for us to really showcase, the brand. The insight was that most people didn't know what e.l.f. stood for. For the record, it stands for eyes, lips, face. And there are a lot of people out there that still today don't even know what it stands for. We knew that there was a place that we could connect with a Gen Z audience. So we created a song called Eyes, Lips, Face, and it went viral all over TikTok. And it changed kind of the face of the brand and the face of the conversations with a new generation of beauty lovers. And just being a part of that experience was pretty epic. And again, connecting with this community of people that love song and dance, because at the time that's really what it was about. It's obviously evolved since then. Music is still a big part of the platform. And then it evolved. And then we did a holiday album through TikTok, which was really fun, leaning into a lot of the creators and influencers to help us create these songs that were kind of fun and playful and flirty and they brought e.l.f. They got to write the song and create their own music. And from there, we just continued to evolve and connect on a different level with them based on where, the evolution of the platform and the community and how the community is telling us what they want.
And community is one of my favorite subjects. I had the pleasure of meeting your head of community, but I'm very curious if we could share even with the audience about what your community management team looks like. How is it structured? And really, how unhinged can they be? Because I'm obsessed with their tone of voice and just how they engage.
So we just recently merged our consumer affairs and community under one team. Before, consumer affairs used to be part of the commerce side of the business. And rightfully so, Corey and I really connected and said, we got to make sure that they're all integrated to ensure that we're connecting with the community 100% of the time. So the team it's representative of the community we serve, for sure. So it represents every eye, lip, and face. They get to be themselves. Obviously, we're a publicly traded company, so there are some opportunities for us to kind of sharpen the way that we approach our storytelling. But they can do it in their own way. They have the freedom to be themselves with the community. And the team is comprised of, we have interns, we have part-time people, we have full-time people. We've integrated, like I said, the consumer affairs team. So there's now more people that can connect. We have leaned in a little bit with AI, but it's always done in partnership with a human. So that helps because we average 30, 40,000 comments a month. And it's really a lot for a team of roughly 20, some full-time, some part-time. It's our number one priority to make sure that we're connecting with them.
And they're round the clock too.
Yeah. We've also, got people in other parts of the world that are also part of the community team.
Which is really, impressive. But I think the tone of voice really stands out. I use the word unhinged, but you'll see, and at least on my team, we talk about people who copy paste, thanks for the love, I'm glad we're part of your routine, or thank you, or just an emoji. But you can tell that there really is somebody behind there, that you're speaking to somebody. And I think that is a credit to it sounds like the community is at the center of everything that you do.
Yeah, Asia is a rock star. We brought her in 6 or 8 months ago, and she's really changed the way that we show up, and really proud of that team because what they do every day is not easy, and they're fully integrated into the company. So they deal with regulation, they deal with innovation, they deal with the brand storytelling. They are, like I said, fully integrated into every launch and everything that we do.
So again, I think for like any kind of creator that's listening, that's starting their own brand, is to think about not just what you're saying about community, but like the community management team, that how fully integrated they are into every step of the way, because it's the heart and soul, especially how you listen, learn, and lean in. It's through the community.
I'm super proud of the team because yesterday we were just notified they were USA Today gave us this honor of America's best customer service for 2026, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, cool. Congratulations. And I think we talked about this a little bit with the maybe the zero distance mentality, but I think is interesting and important for all things social that we can learn about is how you keep your relationship with your community from being one-sided or overly promotional. Because speaking from the social side of things, brands want to sell. And so the risk is often is that they say, okay, we have a social media community, we have a community, make sure you sell, make sure that everything is quantifiable in this promotionality. It ends up being one-sided, but then that's like the antithesis to a community. And I think that your relationship first.
We are. There's, again, so many examples of where we recognize our Change the Board Game and So Many Dicks campaign was probably one of our most successful campaigns that we've done. And it was led with purpose, which is so important to the brand. When you start to build a community and build that trust and you build the relationship with them, there will be mistakes along the way, and you will make some choices along the way that might or might not resonate with the community, because when you stand for every eye, lip, and face, there's going to be a challenge. I read every comment. I listen to when the consumer affairs, every day we get a report, I'm reading everything they're saying. And Asia manages this with her team every day, and she does it with empathy and compassion. That's what's really, I think, our point of difference is that we do take it personally because we know how important they are. And we want to make sure that we are serving them in a way that makes them feel good and makes them want to be a part of something. And then there will be moments where people may not agree with us.
But you know what I think is also interesting about what you're saying? The So Many Dicks campaign, and I'll have you explain it for the people who may have missed it. It wasn't a promotional campaign for a product. And I think that that's also something important to know too, is when you have a community that's so large and engaged and you've earned that trust, the purchase power comes by default because they trust you, because they're top of mind. When they see your product, they're more likely to recommend it and be a brand advocate because they're part of the community. That much we know. And I think that the Dix campaign really speaks to that. So maybe if you want to just share a little bit more what that is for the people who haven't heard it yet or didn't see it.
Yeah, sure. The insight was there are more Richards and Dicks on boards of directors than there are underserved communities. And so we're about equality, period. At the end of the day, it's not about women in sports or men in sports. It's about sports. And it's the same with the boardroom. There's so much data out there that shows that when you put diverse minds and people in front of, in a room, you're going to get different points of view. And guess what? It's going to make whatever you're doing better. And so we want to make sure we're elevating and creating spaces where everyone is treated equal. So we built the campaign, So Many Dicks, not enough of everyone else, around the insight. And it went viral. But what I love most about the campaign, outside of the fact that it's changing the world and conversations, is that mothers and daughters were having conversations about what does a board do? It's bringing up and educating a new generation of people about the power of leadership and empowering, these young girls to be better at what they're trying to do in their life. And when they get to a certain place, that they also too can change conversations and change the world. So I get chills when I think about, these mothers and daughters that are sitting around the dinner table and they're talking about a boardroom, which is crazy in the best possible way. So I'm just super passionate about a lot of the things we're doing. Our impact report, what we did there was another big place where we just did a recent campaign, and it's definitely driving impact because we want to make sure that we're celebrating what people give an e.l.f. about. And you can place e.l.f. with whatever word you want, but there's different things in the world that in this crazy time we're all living in, and we are living in a crazy time, that you want people to have a voice. We want to celebrate those voices.
Yeah. It's not just mothers and daughters. It's fathers like me too, talking with my 15-year-old daughter about, what options do you have? What do you want to pursue? I remember seeing that campaign in New York when it was launched, and I just much like the Oliver campaign, I'm like, they know what they're doing. These guys have got it figured out, and I love it. So once again, I think it's just phenomenal the way that you approach it, the way that you engage with your community, and the way that the core identity of the brand comes out in unique facets there. So I did also want to ask a little bit about how you work with creators, because you work with such a diverse range of creators. What are you looking for in creators? Because you represent such every eye, lip, and face. What does that process look like internally as you identify and choose what creators you're going to work with?
Oh man, don't overthink it. I mean, at the end of the day, when you have a brand and people want to be a part of the brand, and like you said, when the E in every, you want to make sure that you're celebrating everybody in their own way. And there are enough stories within the e.l.f. world that everyone can tell their story. So identifying creators and influencers that want to be a part of us, it's not that hard. There are a lot of people out there that are identifying the brand and connecting with the brand at different stages of their lives. And we want to make sure that we're finding those people, those kind of underserved communities, looking for people within subcultures that maybe, no one's talking to them right now. So I'll share another story. There's a community of people called Pottery Heads, and it's crazy. This is a crazy story. And Corey lives in San Francisco, and her neighbor is an artist. And she said, I'm part of this thing called Pottery Heads, and it's on TikTok. And everyone is using e.l.f. brushes for pottery. So you hear those stories, and then it goes back to listening and then learning and then leaning in, and finding your way in with the different communities and cultures, and finding those people that want to hang out with you. I mean, obviously, we want people that understand our values and who we are. That's going to be really important. And then there are people like Billie Jean King and Catherine Legg and so many other people that are in the sports space that they're creators in and of themselves, They're people that we want to connect with because what they're doing is they're changing the worlds and their communities. And those are equally as important to us as someone that might have 1,000 followers that is starting to build their career. And we want to hang out with you.
Talking about that person with 1,000 followers, how do you work with micro influencers and, the breakdown between macro influencers, if you will, and micro influencers, and supporting those up and coming creators who are passionate about the brand, who represent the core values of the brand?
Yeah, I've recently brought in someone, and I don't know if you know Micah. Micah is, we call him Magic Micah. He is a relationship builder. And this guy and his incredible team are out there every day bringing them in to connect. So they're coming in our office. We're spending time with them. We're inviting them to be part of different things. This weekend on Saturday, we're inviting, these aren't even creators or influencers. They're just community members to our office to hang out, and we're going to celebrate them in the moment. So again, I don't like putting labels. That's not what we do here at e.l.f. It's more of when we find someone that wants to be and connect with us, we reach out. It's really about the integration of the team. And you take Asia, who runs our community, and Micah, and you take our social team, and you take our immersive team and what we're doing in sports, and it's all connected in so many different ways. It is. And when you integrate it the way we do, it works.
And that is a good takeaway, that not that we're trying to help your competitors, but it's a lesson for brands to learn. The way that you integrate across so many different categories, connection with your consumer base, whether they're just a user of the product, whether they're a creator. I think that it's why you're able to be nimble, why you're able to capture these stories and tell these stories. It's because you're deeply integrated across the whole company.
Well, it's a commitment.
A brand that we used to work closely with, I remember they were talking about a makeup brush, and maybe it was a blush brush, but a lot of creators had started to use it as a foundation brush, and they were having a really hard time wrapping their head around it and almost didn't want to share the hack because they're like, but that's not what it's for. But if it's the e.l.f. way, it's to listen, to learn, and to lean in, it would have leaned in immediately and talked about it as what else they can use it for. The same thing with the pottery heads, or the same thing, Sarah Lee does a lot of Glow Recipe with the upcycling, that they would talk about what they do with their products. And I think, again, it's the digitally native, community first, really listening and understanding what the consumer wants versus that one way of what the brand wants, or the brand's idea of what they thought that the consumer wanted.
We rarely say no. It's just maybe when, because some things may take a little longer. I know maybe you sent me the spate article today, and that was really around our DIY campaign. Again, that was built by our community. The community came to us and said, hey, look at this. Look what you can do.
Let's talk about that because I got this article today from Spate, which is a platform that does a lot of social listening by ex-Googlers, and they look at kind of keywords, what's trending in different areas, to put it simply. And it looks like, no surprise, e.l.f. was an early adopter, and they were sharing a case study about e.l.f., how they saw some keywords, jumped on it, and had a campaign. Can you share more about that? Because it's exactly the conversation that we're having about listening, learning, and leaning in.
People were taking our Halo Glow and they were emptying it out and they were putting in lip gloss kits, e.l.f. and other brands, and mixing it to create their own lip gloss. So it was like DIY moment, and it just kind of took off. So we saw this and we said, okay, we got to create our own. So what we did is we gave a Halo Glow, we gave a lip products, 3 or 4 lip gloss in an empty jar, and we created our own kit, our own DIY kit, and we put it out in market. And the growth around that moment was pretty sizable. And it was a really cool moment for us to take the time to listen to the community and see what they want.
That's incredible. Would you say that you had a favorite social campaign? I know we talked about Oliver, we talked about the Dicks, but is there a specific social campaign that you're most proud of?
I do love the platform of Pinterest, and I'm a huge fan. They're an incredible group of people to work with too. And I'm just grateful that, we get to build these relationships with all the platforms, truly. There was an insight that people wanted to get color analysis. So there was a huge increase, and we got the stat from Pinterest that there was a 30% increase in people searching for spring color palettes. And people wanted to understand how they could take the palette and make it work for their skin. So it was an analysis thing. Additionally, what was happening is color analysis were blowing up, but they were super expensive. And we're all about democratizing access. So what we said is, let's create with Pinterest and an agency called Movement. And the 3 of us came together and we created a color analysis tool. And this tool, it was such a game changer. And we put it out. We partnered with our global makeup artists to help us create the looks that could be created from our products. And then people could recognize what works for their skin type. I'm super proud of the team. We launched it at Cannes. And it honestly, the headlines around it, Pinterest had not seen these kind of numbers as far as engagement. It's finding, again, those places and spaces where what we call beauty deserts, where no one is showing up. No one's being there, and we want to be there. And I could go on for days around how we're doing that in sports and in music. And we're just trying to find and democratize the access for everyone, for every eye, lip, and face.
Truly every. One thing I wanted to ask, because our audience is largely healthcare professionals who are interested in growing their own brand, if you could distill maybe 2 or 3 pieces of wisdom that an individual creator could take from the way that you do things at e.l.f. with your social strategy to build a brand for themselves, what kind of advice would you give?
Well, number 1, be true to who you are. That's number 1. That's really important. Don't change. Things will be okay. Number 2 is, when you're looking around and trying to be the creator that you want to be, take the time to pause and reflect and listen to the community and make sure that what they're telling you is resonating in a way that can help you be the better creator that you want to be. And the third is, it's important to continue to network with people, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as the people that, you connect with. So I found that I learned so much from everyone else. So take the time to learn, and don't always say that you have all the answers, because you don't. None of us do. And I'm still learning at this stage of my life, and I'm an old guy. So I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot, but every day I learn something new, and be open to that.
We've learned a lot from you today. I'm really obsessed with listen, learn, and lean in. I'm stealing it. And I will say, to Dustin's credit, Pat, a lot of the creators that we've had on have learned from Dustin. Dustin, being a huge creator that he is, really believes in mentoring and takes the time and shares with people and explains his process. And that also led to us creating this podcast. And we started a Substack also, so that we can help people learn. And we're grateful to you that you're sharing how this incredible brand, community, social first tribe does things, because there's a reason why you're doing as well as you are.
Listen, it's been an epic ride, and I've been here 6.5 years. And like I said, we started at 250 million. Now we're at 1.5 bill. that also is attributed to the brands like Key Soul Care, Well People, Naturium, and obviously Rhode, our key contributors to the growth. And we learn from them every day. They're teaching us things and we're teaching them things. And it's all about what I think Trang does really well as our CEO, is he just wants to make sure that we have a very open culture where people we call it high performance team. We don't do annual reviews, but what we do is in the moment we give feedback, and it really does teach even a new generation of people about how to give feedback. And then how do you take that feedback and then you make it work harder for you, and then the company thrives because of it.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Pat.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It was really incredible. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, share it with a med creator, subscribe to our Substack, The Social Playbook, and see you next time on Med Creator 101.